Hi everyone, welcome to this new lecture of fluid mechanics. In this lecture, we'll discuss about the Reynolds experiment. In the Reynolds experiment, we are going to identify the types of fluid flow. And to identify the types of fluid flow, basically whether the flow is laminar, turbulent or transition, we need to know the Reynolds number. And Reynolds number is actually a dimensionless quantity. Okay. And this is also can be defined, it is the ratio of, you can say inertia force by viscous force. So inertia force by viscous force, which was termed as like a Reynolds experiment or Reynolds number, is to calculate by rho Vd by mu. So this is the formula of this Reynolds number. So from this formula, we can able to identify whether the flow is laminar and whether the flow is transition and whether the flow is turbulent. Okay. Now this experiment, actually from this experiment, we can able to identify these things. And this experiment was initially done by O. Reynolds. The name of the scientist was Reynolds. So in his name, this experiment was named, and the number also given Reynolds number, and which was, it was in the year of, I hope it is near about 1883, 84, something like that. So as I told you, this Reynolds number is defined in this way. So from this experiment, we can able to identify laminar flow, turbulent flow, and transition flow, as I told. So now we will discuss about this experiment. So what are the equipments are involved in this experiment, or what are the parts or accessories are included in this experiment? Let's see. First of all, we need to consider a tank. This is the tank we need to consider, where water supposed to be present here, or we can say a container which contains of water. So this is the water is there. Yeah, we can say what are the things need to be considered. First one, we can consider a tank which consists of water. Okay, at a constant head also, you can say up to a fixed head, we can say up to a fixed head, we can see. Now second one, what is there? The second part is we need to consider a small dye container. Okay, a small container, this one, a small container, which, or you can say a dye container is there. Directly you can say this one. So this is the dye container. This is dye container. Okay. Third one is a glass tube. Third one is we need to consider a glass tube. Here you can see the glass tube is here. It is mounted at the, see this glass tube, actually one on the end will be inserted to this container. Okay, and another one end is supposed to be at outside. You can see here. So this is one end and this is another end of the glass tube. So one end supposed to be inserted into this tank, you can say. Okay, and along with that, we need to keep two valves are there. This is one valve which is attached to this glass tube, and one more valve is there which is involved in this dye container. Okay, so the dye need to be present here at this container. Yeah. Now, so the water from the tank was allowed to entrance at the one end. Now see, this is the water which is present here. Okay, that's supposed to be allowed through the glass tube. This supposed to be flows through the glass tube actually. Okay, but here one valve is there. If you close the valve, there will be no flow. Okay, now here also we have a valve to control the flow of this dye, and here to control this fluid flow which is supposed to be flows through this. Now first thing, so by this experiment, okay, what we are going to observe here? Okay, Now see, by controlling the valve, we can vary the velocity, obviously. Now, first what we'll do, we'll just little bit will open this valve, the die valve, and similarly here also we'll open the valve. So what we are going to see here, now the die which is present here, you can see this is a glass tube. So we can see the transparency will be very good. Okay. Now, when the valve is opened here with little regulations, so the water is, it's started moving like, in this way, slowly it will be moving here. Now, similarly, we need to open this valve of this die so that the die which is present here in this container, it also started moving. Okay. Now, along the water, this die also supposed to be moving like this. Okay. You can see the movement of this die we can identify in different ways. Okay. So first observation what we can get, now when the velocity of the flow was, or when the velocity of this flow will be less, when the velocity of this flow will be less, the dye filament, okay, can be observed like a straight line type. Okay, the dye observer, this dye of this path of the dye will be observed like a line type. So for first condition, what we can say, the suppose this is the glass tube is there. Okay, now the movement of dye I can see here. Let me draw here. So like this, the dye will be moved in this way, like a straight line, or we can say this is parallel to the this glass tube. Okay, so this is called actually the filament of dye. That means how the dye is moving inside the glass tube can be observed from the outside when the velocity is less. First observation. Okay, now second observation what we can get, the second observation, you just rotate this valve little more. Okay, let rotate this valve a little bit more, and here also let rotate this valve a little bit more also here. So now here the velocity little bit increased compared to the previous one. Compared to the previous one, we can get little bit, we can do little bit, the velocity can be increased little bit compared to the previous one. Now in this case, what we are going to get, we can see this is the glass tube is there, suppose. Now the velocity of this die is going to be changed like a little bit, the structure is going to be changed like this. The filament of the die is going to be changed like this. So that means this filament is like a wavy type, up and down is there. This is a wavy filament we can say, and this one we can say is a dye filament like a straight line type is there. Okay, this is the dye filament of straight line type, and this is type, this is a straight line type is there, and this is a wavy. So this wavy structure, okay, when it will come from wavy structure, now when you open the valve little bit more than the previous one, like means the velocity you are going to be increased compared to the previous one. Now again one more case will be there, when the valve will be open fully, and here also the die can be opened fully. So in that case, you can see that means we are increasing the velocity up to a maximum limit we can say. So because the valve was opened fully, so all these waters can be flows through this pipe with a high velocity. So at this level, you can see what kind of flows will be flows through this pipe, you can see, from the through this tube. So now at this condition, the filament will become like this, and it started moving here and there. So there will be a zigzag motion will be there, or you can say this is the diffuse filament. That means the dye filaments are moving here and there haphazardly like this. Now by these three, what we can obtain or what we can conclude, so when this dye filament is moving like a straight line, or when the velocity is less, we can say this flow is laminar flow. This is a laminar flow, and when the velocity increase than the previous one, and the formation of this dye filament like wavy structure will be the little bit up and down is there, then this is coming under transition period or transition flow. This is called transition flow. And when you have opened the valve fully and it has created a high velocity, so in that condition we can get there is a turbulent flow. This is turbulent flow. Okay, so these are the different types of flows are often from this experiment. Now the question is, so how we can know that whether the flow is laminar, transition and turbulent? The question is there. Now as I told you, from this experiment the Reynolds number given one formula rho v d by mu. Here rho is the density of the liquid. What is the density of the liquid? V is the velocity. This is the most important thing here, velocity. D is the diameter of the pipe, and in the denominator mu is there. So mu is the viscosity of the fluid. So in this total 4 terms, if you see the 4 terms are there. Okay, in these 4 terms all are fixed. Rho is fixed, D is fixed, viscosity is fixed. Only the variation is coming here, velocity. So the velocity is having a crucial role to make these flows different, like whether laminar, transition, turbulent. So this will decide, the velocity of the fluid will decide what kind of flow is there. Okay, so now the Reynolds number, if we can say, if the Reynolds number is less than 2000, then it is called laminar flow. When the Reynolds number is in between 2000, suppose it is more than 2000 and less than 4000, at that condition we have transition flow. And when the Reynolds number is we can say is more than 4000. Okay, 1 minute. So here we can write these are the different types of flows as I told. Now here I can say this Reynolds number is, as I told, less than 2000 is there. So this one we can consider for the laminar flow, and here the symbol we can change it actually like this. Okay, so this is for laminar, and now this is for turbulent. And next Reynolds number, when it is more than 4000, then we can say this is transition, this is turbulent, and this is transition. Okay, now see, everywhere the formula will be like, the values will be same for all these conditions. That means rho value is fixed, density of the liquid will be fixed, viscosity of the liquid is fixed, the diameter of the pipe is fixed. Only the variation is velocity. So velocity, it's makes a difference between the flows, whether the flow is going to be laminar, whether the flow will be considered as a transition, or whether the flow is considered as a turbulent. So that will be decided by this velocity, how the flow velocity is there. Okay, that is one thing. Now as I told you, the head of this water should be as a constant. So in case of for laminar flow, we can say there will be no difference of pressure will be there, so that we can say the loss of this, the head loss, okay, or you can say the loss of pressure head. So loss of pressure head for the laminar flow, we can say it is directly proportional to V. What is the velocity is there? So same we can say in the laminar flow. But when you coming to the turbulent flow, okay, so in the turbulent flow it will be different. So mostly this is for laminar flow, but in the turbulent flow, this head loss actually, this head loss will be, HF will be directly proportional to the V to the power n actually. So that n, actually the number n mostly we wish to consider the square of the velocity. what the velocity value is there. So head loss also will be similarly in that way. Okay, so I hope you understand this concept of this Reynolds experiment, or what, what are the things we are going to identify from this. So this is very simple concept actually. So, and one more thing. Now, if you see from the laminar to turbulent, what are the changes are happened, or you can say when it is laminar flow, what are the things are there, and what is when it is turbulent flow, what are the things can be considered, or what are the points need to be remembered for that, or what are the points are affected for that, you can say. Now laminar flow, you can see the velocity is very less, 1 point. Okay. Now laminar flow, we can consider first one, we can say when the flow is changing laminar to turbulent. When the flow is changed from laminar to turbulent, what are the points are there? At that condition, your velocity is increasing. Okay, first one is velocity is increased. Second one is diameter of the pipe is increased. Okay, diameter of the pipe is increased. Next, third one is viscosity. One more term here, because viscosity, if you see in the denominator, so that should be decreased. Then only you can get the more Reynolds number. Okay. For a fixed diameter also you can identify, but I'm telling when the laminar flow is changing to turbulent, so these are the points are necessary. Velocity should be increased and diameter should be also increased, because these two terms are there at the where in the numerator, and in the denominator mu is there, so it should be decreased. So I hope you understand this concept. And sometimes this rho b by mu also can be written. One more things I'll tell you. Also you can written Vd by nu. So nu is the kinematic viscosity actually. Okay, so the nu can be calculated also again mu by rho. Okay, so I hope you understand this theory. If you are having any kind of doubt and query regarding this, you can give a comment on the comment box. Thank you.